It's Motivation Monday, a new week, a fresh start and another opportunity to level up. This is your moment to reset your mindset, refocus your energy, and realign with your purpose. Whatever didn't work last week, that's done. Today you move differently, stronger, smarter, more disciplined, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, consistency, and showing up when it's hard. No excuses, no distractions, just elevation. The grind starts now, the discipline kicks in today. And the results, that's on you. Every move you make this week is building something bigger. So set the tone today, or spend the rest of the week trying to catch up. Because every Monday is a chance to rewrite your story, to step into a new version of yourself. This isn't just another week. This is your rebirth, Motivation Monday, powered by the Final Boss.
Welcome, man, to the Final Boss Podcast. Man, listen, I'm echoing. This is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Man, I hope y'all excited like I am, right? Whew. Man, I love Motivation Mondays, man. And I got a great show for you tonight, as I always have a great show for you, right? I'll always have a great show for you. Yeah. Last night was a stinger. Man, if you didn't see last night's episode, man, go back and watch last night's episode number 231, man. 231. We talked about the decisions and about the walls that we put around us, right? Which is quite interesting, because tonight's episode we're going to be talking about load-bearing walls. We spoke about it a little bit last night, but we were talking about the walls that man and humanity always build, right? Out of the idea of freedom, we build our own prisons, right? Our own prisons. But tonight, we're going to be talking about load-bearing walls, right? But before we get into that, man, look, make sure you go like, share, and subscribe. Go like, share, and subscribe, man. Like, share, and subscribe. You know, I'm going to stop saying that. I am going to stop asking people to stop to like, share, and subscribe. Look, if the information is for you, it is for you. It will reach you, right? It will become you, and you will become it, right? But before we get into that, man, look, as always, right? The greeting of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the greeting of the day. And always remember, this is for information purposes only. And I see everyone's coming on board, man. It got a lot, man. There's a lot of people on tonight, right? Thank you, everyone who's coming in, who beat me here. Man, I clicked the button, boom, people were already in. So thank you for being in this session and being a part of this episode, right? To my smarts, to my final bosses, to my motivators, to my warriors, thank you. You are the committee. You are the sovereign, right? And because of you, Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train is an Amazon bestseller. You see it behind me, right? You see it. That's right. Oh, you probably can't see it because I have the banners up. Let's get rid of the banners. Boom. Banners out of here, right? You see it? All Aboard the Fired Up Train. Go Time. Go pick it up. First book. Go Time 2. Go Time 2 will be here in July. Man, Go Time 2 will be here in July. And I'm so excited about that, man. Super excited, right? Super excited. Right on time, because I start my doctorates late July, August for the fall semester. So, man, busy, getting things done, getting things knocked out, because I got some white papers that I've written that are going to blow your mind, right? That are going to blow your mind. I got to submit those frameworks and everything for the trademark office and patent. Man, it's going to blow your mind, right? But I'm excited about it, right? I'm excited. We're excited, right? The sovereign is excited. So no matter where you're watching at, your viewing pleasures, right? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Spotify, right? StreamYard, and wherever else, right? We're on 10 different platforms simultaneously, right? So thank you for all of that, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say enough. I can't say thank you enough, right? So let's get into tonight's show. Man. Like I said, this is episode number 232, right? Load bearing walls, season 4, arc 3, right? The foundation, right? We're almost out of arc 3, getting ready to go into arc 4, right? So, right? Last week, we named the weight that nobody sees. We talked about it, right? And tonight, we're going to name what carries it, right? This is the load bearing walls episode. The disciplines that hold the foundation up when your motivation is gone, when the room is empty, when nobody is watching, and when the audience has already moved on to something else, right? We got 6 walls to talk about, 6 non-negotiables, right? The architecture under the architecture, right? And to my smarts, my final bosses, my motivators, my warriors, the forge stays open. The walls go up tonight. So here we are. Here we are. You know, we talk about foundations a lot, right? We talk about foundations a lot. And the foundation does not stand on the slab, right? Construction, man. Construction. A foundation stands what comes up off of the slab. The walls, the frame, the bones, the vertical work that turns a flat piece of poured concrete into a structure that can carry a building and a family, along with a legacy and also an empire, right? Last Monday, I told you about the weight nobody sees. The 4:47 a.m. in the chair, right? The doubt that be at full volume in those early morning moments, right? I talked about the room when the camera's off, when this camera is off, and I'm sitting here, right? Putting together all the things that I have to do to get this episode, to continue to write books, to finish my coursework for my master's, right? Graduation is on the 15th from the University of Maryland Global Campus. Shout out to the University of Maryland Global Campus, man. Shout out to them. I hope they see this, right? It's been a pleasure attending your school, right? I've gained so much knowledge, right? So many byproducts that come from the mastery level of school, right? Mastery level on to the next level, right? But that doubt is at full volume. The room when the camera is off, the screen is blank. The pages of the paper are blank, right? I told you what it costs to be the boss. I told you what it costs to be the one who carries the load. And tonight, I owe you the next truth in that, right? Because if I let you walk out of last week's episode thinking the weight just sits there, right? And you just suffer under it, right? Then I've lied to you. And I don't lie to my community, right? The weight does not sit on you. The weight sits on the walls you built. The weight sits on the disciplines you do not negotiate. The weight sits on the rituals you keep in the dark when nobody's clapping, right? That is what carries you on the day your motivation has packed the bag jumped on Spirit Airlines, and walked out the door, right? Tonight on Motivation, episode 232, we named them. 6 walls, 6 load-bearing walls, the architecture under the architecture, the reason the foundation does not crack when the world leans on it, right? I am the final boss. You are the sovereign. Actually, you know what? We are the sovereign, right? We are the sovereign. And for this construction, let me be the foreman tonight, right? Let me be the foreman, right? So let's get into it. Family, listen. The slab is poured, right? We talking construction, right? The blueprint is drawn, right? The weight is named. Now we build the walls to hold it, right? And the next time somebody tells you that they cannot stay disciplined when nobody's watching, you tell them this. You tell them the whole point of a load-bearing wall is that it holds when nobody's looking, right? The wall does not need an audience. The wall needs a builder. So tonight, you become the builder, right? Let me be the foreman, right? Tonight, I want you to stop hoping the foundation holds. You have the hope factor, right? Tonight, you stop praying motivation shows up. Tonight, you stand up those 6 walls, and they're going to hold up for you when you have nothing left to give, right? And this is not about feeling strong. This is about being structurally sound when you feel weak at your lowest moments in the dark rooms, right? This isn't motivation. This is engineering, right? The forge is open. The chamber is hot. The cement is cured. The crew is in. It's time to get to work. It's go time, baby. It is go time. You heard the fired up train, man. It is time to get on the fired up train, and it is time to go. It is go time, right? And the mission is rebirth. The execution is the foundation. The weapon tonight is the wall, right? And from you know, we talked about last week, right? We talked about what nobody sees. We talked about the chamber under the throne, the forge. We talked about the 4 a.m. chair, right? And we named what it costs to walk the seat the world holds for you, right? Tonight is that structural sequel. We name what holds up the weight, right? The arc 3, the foundation, right? All the way to episode 241, which is around the corner, right? We're on 5 times a week, right? And this is week 4, and the foundation is poured. The blueprint is drawn, right? The load has been declared. The walls are going up, right? And we're going to name that foundation, right? The construction opens at the end of the foundation in episode 242, right? That's the structural map. I need you to stay with me and stay with it, right? Every week we learn a new brick. Every brick is a new position, right? And by the time we hit episode 300, which is the season 5, the harvest, the season closes and the harvest begins. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is filler. Every minute of the podcast is a load, right? Now, before we get into tonight's show, I know I've been talking, man. I've been talking. I haven't even started the show. It's already 15 minutes in. Look, tonight's brass tacks. This is tonight's brass tacks, and it comes from me, right? It comes from me. Here's the brass tacks of the evening, right? A foundation that is not loaded in decoration. A wall that is not tested is a guess. A man who is not disciplined when nobody is watching is a costume. The sovereign is not what you wear. The sovereign is what holds when nothing else does, right? Shout out to me. The brass tacks comes from war, right? So if you didn't have that clear understanding, I'm going to say it again, right? Because I want you to have clear understanding. I want you to get your pen and paper out, right? Listen, you. Classes in session. It's Motivation Mondays. Sit your ass down. No bathroom break. No hallway pass. The principal said, do not leave the classroom, right? Don't do it. So, classes in session. Take some notes, right? A foundation that is not loaded is decoration. A wall that is not tested is a guess. A man who is not disciplined when nobody is watching is a costume. Ooh, man, doesn't that just get right up in your chest and it burns, man? It burns. A man who is not disciplined when nobody is watching is a costume. The sovereign is not what you wear. The sovereign is what holds you when nothing else does, right? Let that land and sit with it, right? Let it land where it needs to land. Because some of you in the room are decorated. Some of you are guessing. Some of you are wearing it. And tonight we move all three of you into the same category. We're going to make builders out of you. Standing under the load, right? Tonight, we're going to be running the same old, right? We're going to name the walls. We're going to run the fired up train, right? And then I'm going to give you some homework. I got some homework for you. 7-day assignment. It's coming. Right? Homework. Right? So, those of you who are just now joining us, right? This is a high energy episode, right? Motivation Monday is a high energy show, right? And for those of you who are new to here, right? This is Motivation Monday. This is the ignition show, the frequency where we stop talking about the rebirth and we start executing it, right? The room you walk into on a Monday is the room that decides the rest of the week. If you build the walls right, the rest of your week stands. If you do not, you'll be carrying the load with your bare hands, right? And you're not built to carry it with your bare hands. You're built to build the structure that does the carrying, right? So stay locked in, stay loaded, stay sovereign, man. Stay sovereign. Let's roll, right? Now, let's get to the next destination. And I need to call this to the room, right? There are 4 communities. We're going to start with my smarts, right? They're just pattern recognizers, the blueprint readers, the minds that we hear load-bearing wall and immediately start mapping out across every system they operate in, right? We're talking about business, relationships, mind, body, capital, right? And tonight is no different. Because the load-bearing wall is not a vibe. It is engineered position. We got 6 positions that we're going to be talking about. 6 positions to integrate into your model. The smarts get to take this episode and build a framework out of it, right? Because that's their job, right? That's your gift. The blueprint is yours, right? And to my final bosses, man, let's get fired up, man. Let's get fired up, man. We 20 minutes in. Let's get fired up. To my final bosses, right? These are the throne sitters, man. You guys are the throne sitters, the decision makers, the ones who already know the load is heavy and stop complaining about it. Man, look, tonight you're going to do your audit. Every episode is an audit. You do an audit, right? You think you have load-bearing walls now? Well, tonight we're going to test and see if you actually do. Right? Because some of you are running on motivation and calling it discipline. Some of you are running on caffeine and calling it commitment. Those walls get inspected, right? We're going to inspect and see what you got going on, right? Some of you will find out if your wall is coming down, and if you didn't even, and it's coming down and you didn't even know it was coming down, right? The drywall is fractured, right? And that's not a problem. That, my friends, is intelligence. You cannot fix what you can't see, right? But tonight we're going to call it, and we're going to make all 6 of those visible, right? And to my motivators, the amplifiers, the voices, the ones who run around and pull other people up and pull them up the hill behind you, right? Tonight matters for you in a special way because here's the truth. You cannot transmit what you have not built. You cannot motivate from a structure that does not hold. Right? The motivators with no foundation are running on borrowed time. Tonight, you build the walls so the transmission has a power to broadcast from, right? Put those antennas up. The signal is only as strong as the structure under it, right? And to my warriors, the veterans, the combatants, the ones who already know what it costs to stand under the load, the ones who already paid in blood and sweat and time and tears, right? In years, right? In marriages, in years of life that you would never get back because you sacrificed. You sacrificed, man, for this country, right? Sacrificed for this country. Over 10 years of my life has gone to this country for sacrifice, right? That's what we do, right? That's what we do as warriors. And we never get that time back, right? Tonight is your room. Because warriors do not need to be told the weight is real. Warriors need to be reminded that the walls they built in combat are the same walls that they have to keep building in peacetime. The discipline that kept you alive in the kill zone is the same discipline that keeps the foundation standing in civilian life. The walls do not change. The location of the fight does, right? All 4 in the community is sovereign, right? Right now, right? You aren't the audience. You are the crew, right? Pick up your tools. It's time to walk this slab. The walls are getting ready to go up, right? The walls are getting ready to go up, right? It's time to get the crew together. It's time to build. But before we do that, we have another destination, right? We have another destination, right? Because we don't move on a concept until the room knows exactly what that concept is, and we have to talk about the concept, right? A load-bearing wall is that concept. And the load-bearing wall is a wall that holds up the structure above it. You cannot remove it. You cannot relocate it within. You cannot decorate around it and pretend that it's not there. If you take it out, the floor falls. The roof comes down. The structure collapses. The wall is the reason the building is still a building, right? Now let's translate that into your life. In your life where it actually means something, where it actually counts, right? Because the load-bearing wall in your life is a discipline you do not get to negotiate. It is not a habit. Habits are decoration. Habits are the paint on the wall. The wall is something deeper, right? The wall is the position you hold whether you feel like it or not. whether anybody is watching or not, whether the season is good or bad, whether the audience is clapping or silent, right? A load bearing wall does three things every single time, right? Every single time. First, it holds the load, right? The weight you named last week, the load nobody sees, the chamber under the throne, the weight has to land somewhere. It lands on the walls. If the walls are real, the weight is held. If the walls are decoration, the weight crushes, right? And second, it defines the room. The wall does not just hold the weight. A wall makes the room without walls, right? Because without walls, you have no room. You have a slab, just open concrete, wide open, no definition, no interior, no life. The walls turn the slab into a home. Let's translate that, right? Let's translate that. Because without disciplines, your life has no shape, right? Your foundation is just exposed concrete with weather coming in from every direction, right? And third, it carries you when the wind hits. And when the wind, right? Speaking of which, the wind always hits. The market shifts. The contract falls through. The relationship implodes. The diagnosis comes back. The check does not clear. Whatever you thought you were building gets tested. The walls are what stand. The walls are what holds your roof up while the storm passes, right? And tonight, I'm giving you the 6 walls, right? Not 7, not 5, but 6. Because 6 is the structural number that runs through the architecture that I've been teaching the whole season, right? The 6 pillars, the 6 building blocks, the 6 load-bearing walls. The number is not random. The number is engineered, right? Each wall is non-negotiable. Each wall is a position you take whether you feel like it or not. Each wall is the discipline you do not bargain with. If you negotiate a load-bearing wall, you do not have a load-bearing wall. You have a suggestion. Put it in the suggestion box. And a suggestion does not hold a roof, right? The reborn version of you, let's talk about it. The version of this whole season that's being built is being built around, right? Rebirth, being reborn around you, right? That version cannot stand on the slab alone. That version needs structure. That version needs walls. That version needs the architecture under the throne of the throne before the throne falls, right? The day you sit on it, right? 6 walls. Tonight and right now, we're going to finally talk about it. we're going to finally talk about it. Because the version of you that sits on the throne, it needs walls. That version needs the architecture under the throne. Or the throne falls, right? The slab is yours. The walls are tonight. So, let's get into it. The train is in the station. You hear the whistle. It's hot. The boiler is loaded. It is time to move. The fire train is the methodology that runs through every Motivation Mondays. 2 acronyms, 1 vehicle, right? The first one is the engine. The second one is the cargo. You cannot separate them, right? The train is both at the same time, right? So let's talk about the acronym of fired up, right? And what it stands for, right? F is for focus. You do not build a wall without a level. You do not pour a foundation without a pump line, right? Focus is the line that keeps the wall straight. Without focus, your wall leans. The leaning wall does not hold, right? A leaning wall is on the way of becoming a fallen wall, right? And let's talk about I. I is for intention, right? The wall has to mean something. You do not build it because somebody on the internet says so. You don't build it because I said so. You build it because you decided what has to hold. Intention is the architectural drawing, right? Intention is the way and the why behind the what, right? And let's talk about R, man. R is One of my favorite. Resilience. Man, resilience. Right? The wall takes hits. The wall absorbs blows. The wall flexes without breaking. Resilience is what is in the cement, right? Resilience is what is in the rebar. The wall that has no resilience is a brittle wall. A brittle wall falls the first time the wind hits, right? Let's talk about E. E is for execution, right? The wall does not build itself. You have to lift the brick, right? You have to mix the mortar, right? You have to run the throw, right? Execution is the action that turns the blueprint into a wall. No execution, no wall. No wall, no foundation, right? And then there's D. D is for discipline, right? Talk about discipline all the time. The wall gets built brick by brick, day by day, rep by rep. Discipline is the rate at which you build. Discipline is the consistency that turns a pile of bricks into a structure. Without discipline, you build a wall once a month and call it construction. That's not a wall, my friends. That is a memorial, right? And then U is for urgency, right? The wall has to go up before the storm. Every wall has a deadline. Every foundation has a window. Urgency is what keeps you from waiting until the rain starts to think about the roof, right? And then P. P is for power. The wall is loaded, right? The wall is loaded. The wall is taking weight, right? The wall is doing what walls are supposed to do. Power is the wall operation, right? Power is the wall in position of the architect and what it was designed for, right? That's the engine. Now let's talk about the cargo, right? Let's talk about the cargo. Let's talk about the acronym TRAIN and what it stands for, right? And TRAIN stands for what the engine pulls, right? So T is for tenacity. The wall does not quit. The wall holds, right? R is for resourcefulness. You build with what you have. The wall does not wait for perfect material, right? And then A is for action. The wall goes up by movement, not by talk, right? And then I is for innovation. Each wall is engineered for the load it carries. No two walls are exactly the same, right? And then N is for network. The walls support each other. No walls stand alone. The structure is the network of the walls. That is the train. That is the methodology. Tonight, we run the train through the 6 walls, and the engine is hot. The cargo is loaded. The track is open. Stay on the train. Stay on the train, right? Let's roll into number 1 wall, right? The first wall, right? The morning ritual. The 4 a.m. chair. That number is mine. The chair is yours. The principle is universal, right? Every load-bearing structure in your life starts with how you meet the day. Now, you handle the meeting at 2 p.m. Not how you respond to the email at 4. Not how you show up to dinner at 7. The day is decided before the day is even started. The way you sit down with yourself before the world wakes up is the wall that holds every single thing that comes after it, right? And for me, the chair has a time. 4 a.m. in the morning, nobody's up. The phones are silent. The room is dark. The page is blank, right? And I sit down with myself before anybody else gets a vote on what I am for that particular day, right? What I read, what I write, what I think, what I plan, what I decide, right? is the wall. That is what carries every other room I walk into for the next 18 hours. Right? And the time does not have to be 4 a.m. for you. The time has to be yours. You pick the time. It has to be early enough that the world has not started transmitting yet, right? It has to be quiet enough that you can hear your own thoughts. It has to be daily enough that it is not a stunt, and private enough for nobody right? Because most people lose the day before they even start, or even before they get out of bed, right? The phone is the first thing they touch. The notifications are the first thing they read. The other voices are the first thing they hear. And by the time they put their feet on the floor, they already running on somebody else's frequency. They are not building. They are reacting, right? You cannot build a wall in reaction mode. You cannot stand on a load-bearing structure on borrowed frequency. The first hour of your day is either you defining the day or the day defining you. There is no third option, right? The 4 a.m. chair is the wall that holds every room you walk into after that, right? The room with the team, the room with the family, the room with the contracts, the room with the cameras on. Every one of those rooms is a downstream of the room of you sitting alone. And that's not a productivity hack. That is a structural decision. You decide that the first portion of every day belongs to you. You need to own it, not give it to the algorithm, not to your inbox, to the news, not to the noise, but to you, right? To the version of you, the rebirth version that's in the building right now. The reborn man and woman does not wake up at the speed of the phone. The reborn man or woman wakes up at the speed of the chair, right? And for my smarts, listen, build a system that protects the chair. Phone in the other room, notifications off, same time, same place, same chair every single morning. Engineer the conditions so the wall can be built without willpower. Willpower is finite. Engineering is permanent, right? And to my final bosses, right? The chair is non-negotiable. If the chair has to fight the calendar, the chair wins. If the chair has to fight the inbox, the chair wins. If the chair has to fight the workout, the chair wins. The chair is wall number one for a reason, because without it, none of the other walls matter, right? And to my motivators, sorry, right? You cannot transmit on a frequency you have not tuned. The chair is your tuning fork. Sit in it before you start the broadcast, right? And for my warriors, you already know the morning routine. You ran it in the service, right? We know what 030405 feels like, right? Run that same routine now. Because civilian life does not exempt you from the discipline that you kept alive. The chair is yours. Stand on it. Pre-dawn, quiet, and locked in, right? The wall is up. The room takes shape. That is wall number one, right? Now let's talk about wall number two. Let's talk about wall number two, right? This is the word you keep to yourself. That's what we're going to call that, right? This is the wall most people skip because the wall has no audience. This wall has no applause. This wall has no metrics that you can post. This wall is built entirely in private and exactly why it is the load-bearing wall, right? The word you keep to yourself is the promise you made to yourself before anyone else, right? The promise nobody else heard. The promise nobody else can verify. The promise nobody else can hold accountability to, except just you, right? Just you. The world is full of people who keep the promises that made them publicly, because the public is watching, because the camera is on, because the audience is waiting to see it. The reels are hot, right? Public accountability is real, but public accountability is the easy version. Public accountability is held up by other people's eyes. right? You take those eyes away, and most public promises evaporate. It's time to have private accountability. That, my friends, is the wall. Because private accountability is when you say to yourself at 4 a.m., I'm going to write 1,000 words today. And nobody asks, right? Nobody checks. Nobody knows. And you write those 1,000 words, right? Because you said you was going to do it. And you're doing it for yourself. That is the wall, right? Private accountability is when you say to yourself, I'm not eating after 8 p.m. And the kitchen is empty, the house is asleep, the fridge is right there. And when you walk past it because you said you would, you owe that to yourself. That is the wall, right? Private accountability is when you say to yourself, I'm not opening that app today, right? And the app is one tap away, right? The app is one tap away. Nobody's watching the screen but you. And you do not open it because you said you wouldn't. That is the wall, right? And here's the rule of this wall. The way you treat the word you give yourself in private is the way the universe treats you when you give your word in public. If you fold on yourself in private, you will fold in public. The structure is the same. The witness is different, but the music is the same muscle, right? The music that's coming out your mouth. The muscle is the same muscle, right? Most people have a credibility problem they think is external. They think the issue is other people not trusting them. The real issue is internal. They have not earned their own trust. They keep breaking promises to themselves in private. So when they make a public promise, the structural foundation under the public promise is already cracked. They do not have the internal credibility to back the external commitment, right? And wall number 2 is where you fix that. You start keeping the word that you give yourself. The small ones, the private ones, right? The ones nobody would ever know about. You keep them like they are the most important promises of your life. Because structurally they are, right? And to my smarts, track the private promises. Write them down. Audit yourself weekly. Pattern recognition starts with the data, right? And for my motivators, the reason your transmission rings hollow sometimes is because you are speaking from a structure that has not paid the private toll. Pay it. It's time to pay up, right? The signal will sharpen. And for my warriors, right? The honor code apply to yourself, not just to the unit, right? But to you, in the silence, in the dark, right? When the patrol is over, the honor code does not retire. Wall number 2 is up. The room is starting to feel like a room. We got some more walls to build. Let's go, right? So wall number 3. Wall number 3. This is the reps nobody films, right? Because we live in a world where the reps that get filmed get credit. The post, the clip, the reel, the story, the proof, the receipt, the pick, the visibility, right? The visible reps are good. The visible reps build the brand. The visible reps fund the business. The visible reps grow through the audience. And I'm not against visible reps by all means, right? With 350,000 followers, trust me, I know what the visible reps look like, right? I run the podcast. I post the clips. I publish the books. I know what visibility does. But the visible reps are not the wall. The visible reps are the paint on the wall. Understand the difference, right? The wall is the reps nobody films. The wall is the 100 push-ups you did at 5 a.m. that nobody saw. The wall is the 15 code emails you sent at 11 p.m. that nobody knows about. The wall is the chapter of the book you wrote in the parking lot while watching your kids play football, right? The wall is the workout you did in the hotel room when you could have ordered service and watched the basketball game, right? The wall is the reading, right? The wall is the reading you did at lunch when everybody else was on social media or eating lunch, right? The wall is the financial review you ran at the kitchen table after the family went to sleep. The wall is the 30 minutes of language practice you did before the meeting. The wall is the prayer or the meditation of the breath work of your visualization that you did and never told anybody about it, right? Those reps are the wall. And here's why that's structural and not motivational, right? Because the visible reps are the result of the invisible reps. You cannot post a reel of an outcome you did not earn behind the scenes. Well, kind of. Yeah, you can, right? But the structure, that's kind of fake, right? Who does that? A lot of people. The structure is foam. The structure is theater. And the foam structures collapse the first time the real load shows up, right? The audience sees the visible reps and assumes that is the work. The audience is wrong. The visible reps are the highlight. The wall is in the dark room, right? If you want to know how somebody is going to perform under real load, do not look at their feed. Look at what they do in the windows that nobody films. The 90 minutes in the morning, the 45 minutes after lunch, 30 minutes after the meetings, the 2 hours after the kids go to bed. Those windows are where the wall gets built. Or those windows are where the wall does not get built. There's no middle ground, right? Because most people are addicted to the highlight and allergic to the rep. They want the post without the practice. They want the credit without the cure. They want the feed without the foundation. The structural problem with that posture, and it's not moral, right? It's mechanical. The wall does not get built. So when load shows up, there's no wall. So if they collapse, they blame, and then they go back to filming highlights of the next attempt. The cycle repeats. Wash, rinse, repeat. Right? Wall 3 breaks that cycle. You need to decide today about the reps nobody films that are non-negotiable. Whether you ever post them or not. Whether anybody knows it or not. Whether the algorithm rewards it or not. Because the algorithm does not pay your bills. The wall pays your bills. The wall holds your roof up. The wall is the reason the visible work has anything underneath it, right? And to my smarts, build the dashboard for the invisible reps. Track them like they are the only reps that matter because structurally they are, right? And for my final bosses, the unified work is the work, period. The end, full stop, right? And for my motivators, your power comes from the rep, not the reel. And for my warriors, every drill you ever ran in private feeds every fight you ever won in public. Same equation, different terrain, right? Wall 3 is up. We got 3 more to go, right? Stay with me. Class is in session. Take some notes. The structure is taking shape. You see the walls that we're building, right? 3 more walls, right? So wall number 4. Wall number 4 is the boundary, right? This is the wall that not just holds the load. It's a wall that defines what gets in the room and what stays out. The wall is a perimeter. The wall is a no. And no is a full sentence, full stop, right? Most people in this room have a yes problem. Yes, I said it. You have a yes problem. They say yes way too much. They say yes too fast. They say yes when they should have asked. They say yes when they should have slept it off. They say yes when their gut says no. They say yes because they are afraid of what it would cost. And every misplaced yes is a hole in the wall. And trust me, the Brosen, Johnny Rio, oh man, we had a whole session of practicing the word no, right? No is power. Listen, no is power. Hold on. Man, my throne is adjusting itself. Yeah. All right. A hole in the wall is not just a hole, right? A hole in the wall is a structural failure. And every yes you should get them, and a no is a load you have to carry that you would never build or get to carry, right? Every yes you should have not gotten is hours that come out of the chair. The unfilmed reps, the recovery, the relationships, right? They all actually matter. Every yes you should have not given is a mortar leaking out of the structure, right? The boundary is the wall that holds the perimeter. The boundary decides who gets to stand near you. The boundary decides who and what goes on a calendar, right? The boundary decides what gets your time, your attention, your energy, your money, your reputation, your name on it, right? The boundary is the architectural feature that turns your foundation into a building instead of an empty slab open to anybody who walks by, right? Boundaries are not mean. Boundaries are not cold. Boundaries aren't selfish either. Boundaries are engineering. The same way a building has walls that keep weather out, right? Keep the wind out. You have walls that keep the wrong load out. Without those walls, the wind walks in. Without those walls, the building gets blown down, right? Huff, puff, and I'll blow your house down, right? The hardest boundaries are not with strangers. The hardest boundaries are with people close to you, people you have history with, people who can leverage, right? People who know how you got to where you are. And they feel entitled to a place of where you're going. The rebirth and reborn version of you cannot afford to keep paying tolls to the old version audience. Some of those people in your phone are going to stay in the old version, right? And that's not cruelty. That's structure, right? Some rooms are not built to hold the version of you that this season is producing, right? The boundary also runs internal. There are parts of you that need a no. The version of you that wants to snack at 11 p.m., right? The version of you that wants to scroll for an hour, the version of you that wants to argue, the version of you that wants to quit. The boundary internal is the wall between the version of you that is building and the version of you that is sabotaging, right? Both versions live inside you. The wall decides which one runs the day, right? Wall number 4 says no without apology. Wall 4 says not now without explanation. Wall number 4 says not me without guilt. Wall number 4 says I'm not available without negotiation, right? And for my smarts, design the protocols. Default declines, right? Calendar is locked, right? Inbox, treat it as a triage, right? And you engineer your nose, right? And for my final bosses, the throne has a perimeter. The throne is not public bench or public property. Decide who sits at the table, right? That's what you have to do. For my motivators, you cannot pour from an empty cup. The cup empties through the holes in the wall. It's time to patch them. Time to patch those holes, right? And for my warriors, you understand the perimeter security in combat. Apply it to the civilian life. I keep saying that, right? Same principle, different threat, right? Wall 4 is up. The room has a door, right? And the door has a lock. Let's continue. Right? I'm going to go over. Stay with me, right? Wall number 5. This is the truth session, right? Every structure needs an inspection. Every foundation needs a check. Every wall needs a moment where you stand in front of it and ask, is this wall actually holding? Or am I telling myself a story about the wall, right? The truth session is the wall that inspects the other walls, right? The truth session is the meeting you have with yourself on a regular cadence where you tell yourself the truth about how you actually living, not how you are claiming to live, not how you are posting that you are living, not how you are performing for the audience, but the truth about the chair, about the private word, about the unfilmed reps, about the boundaries, about the recovery, about the work, about the relationships, about the money, about the body, and about the direction, right? Most people do not have a truth session. Most people have a comfort session, right? They sit down and they tell themselves a version of the story that protects their ego, the one that preserves the self-image, the one that allows them to keep going without changing anything. That is not truth. That is a tranquilizer, right? The truth session is uncomfortable on purpose. The truth session is supposed to find the gaps. The truth session is supposed to identify the walls that are actually walls. The truth session is supposed to expose the lies you've been telling yourself in the gentlest form, in the gentlest voice, right? The truth session is the brutal honesty conversation with the version of you that has all of the information, right? Listen, Sunday nights is mine. That's the sanctuary on the show, the public version of what I run privately every Sunday night. I sit down with myself, I run the audit, I look at the week, and I find the gaps. I name them, I plan it, right? And then I show up Monday right here at 9 p.m. for motivation, right? The truth comes out. That is why the voice has weight, because the voice has been audited, right? The truth session has 3 pieces. And the first one is the honest accounting, right? What did you actually do this week? Not what you meant to do, not what you posted, but what you did, right? And second is the gap analysis. What did you say you would do that you did not do? What promise did you break with yourself? What wall is leaking from the rain, right? And then third, the next move. What does the information say that will change in the next 7 days? Right? Not a lecture, but a decision, right? 3 pieces, 1 session, weekly cadence, non-negotiable, right? The reason most people drift is because there is no truth session in their architecture. They go week after week with no audit. The walls degrade, the mortar cracks, the structure leans, like the Leaning Tower in Italy, right? They do not catch it because nobody is checking. The first time they notice is when something falls. But by then, the damage is structural. The fix is expensive. The recovery is long, right? The truth session catches the crack at the hairline stages of the crack, before it becomes a fracture, before it becomes a collapse, right? And for my smarts, the truth session is your debrief. Run it like a board meeting. The information is on the table, right? For my final bosses, the truth session is on the audit, right? You need to do your audit. The throne does not get to skip the inspection. And to my motivators, the truth session is what keeps your message honest. Audit yourself before you broadcast, right? And for my warriors, the truth session is your after action review, your AAR weekly. Apply the discipline you ran in uniform to the life you're running now, right? Wall 5 is up. Let's get to wall 6, right? The walls are starting to inspect each other, right? Before we get to wall 6, we need to hop on the fired up train, right? To get to the next wall, right? The next wall is recovery, right? Wall number 6, recovery, right? This is the wall most builders treat like an option. This is the wall you skip first when the schedule gets tight. This is the wall the culture tells you this is recovery is for soft people. The culture is wrong. Recovery is engineering, right? A foundation has to cure. Concrete that does not get cure time is concrete that falls under load. A wall that does not get tested for set time is a wall that crumbles when weather shows up. The chemistry of structure requires recovery. There's no version of high performance that skips this particular wall, right? You are not made of foam. You're made of biology. Biology recovers or biology breaks. There's no third option. You can override the body for a day, a week, a season. The body will pay you back with interest, right? The bill always comes, and it comes with receipts. The only question is whether you pay the recovery toll on your terms or whether the body forces a stop on its own, right? I've learned this many times, man. Let me tell you, right? I learned it. I learned it the hard way on so many occasions. I can go through my phone right now and tell you how many times I've been in a hospital the last 10 to 15 years, right? Because I couldn't stop, right? I learned the hard way, right? I learned it through combat. I learned it through federal service, 23 years, right? I'm learning it through this podcast. I'm learning it through the books that I've written, right? I learned it through the resignation. I'm learning it through this master's program. I'm learning it as I approach the doctor's program, right? The corporation, the next wave, the load just keeps coming. The walls have to keep going up. And the only way the walls stay up is the recovery is engineered into the same calendar that the work is engineered to. Recovery has 4 pieces, right? And all 4 walls under wall number 6, right? First, this is the easy one. Sleep. Sleep is non-negotiable, right? Sleep is non-negotiable. And sleep is where the body rebuilds. Make sure the room is dark. Make sure it's cold, it's quiet, and protected. No phone, no screen, no noise. The body uses those hours to repair the wall you stood up under all day, right? Second is nutrition. The fuel that keeps the structure standing. You cannot put garbage in the tank and expect the engine to run, right? You can't put 86 unleaded in your Porsche, right? The reborn version of you eats like the architecture matters because it does, right? Third, movement and recovery cycles. Hard movement followed by deliberate recovery. Make sure you stretch, make sure you walk, make sure you breathe, right? Sometimes sit in the stillness. Make sure you're hydrating. The body asks for this contract. You have to make it work. You have to honor it, respect it, right? And fourth, quiet time. Not entertainment, not consumption, not the next piece of content, but quiet. Sit, be, let the nervous system come back to baseline. The reason the chair at 4 a.m. works for me is because the night before I shut down, right? I gave the system the cure time, right? Recovery is the wall most likely to get sacrificed for the other walls. But don't fall into that. Don't fall for that. That's a trap. The chair, the private word, the unfilmed rep, the boundary of truth, and the truth session, all of them depend on the body and the mind that has been allowed to recover. You skip the recovery and you're running the other 5 walls on a depleted system. They will hold for a while. They will not hold forever, right? Listen, you're not a martyr. You're a builder. Builders take care of the equipment. The most important piece of the equipment you own is you, right? Is you. Stay with me. I'm almost done, right? For my smarts, schedule recovery, treat it like a meeting, block it on a calendar, and defend it like a contract, right? For my final bosses, the throne requires the body that requires a strong body that can sit on the throne, right? Recover the body so the body can hold the seat, right? To my motivators, the broadcast tower needs maintenance. Take it down for service, come back stronger, right? And for my warriors, you carry the load in uniform and you're still here. Now carry the discipline of recovery like the mission depends on it because it does. 6 walls are up. The structure is loaded. The roof is something to land on. The foundation has been honored, right? The foundation has been honored. Right? Listen, we built the walls. We got all 6 walls up, right? Now, let's discuss. Let's discuss the 7-day assignment, right? 7-day assignment, right? This is your homework. I told you in the beginning. I told you in the beginning of the show that I had homework for you. And here it is, your 7-day assignment, right? Here it is. From tonight to next Monday, right? Episode 232 to episode 237, the Arc 3 Motivation Mondays finale. That's one full week, right? 6 walls, 1 run, right? This is what I need you to do, right? On day 1, start tomorrow morning. The chair, right? Set the time, pick the chair, wake up before the world, sit in it for 30 minutes minimum, no phone, no noise, just you, the page, and the silence. Decide what the day is before the day decides you, right? And then there's day number 2. This is the private word. Pick one promise to yourself, small, specific, right? Verifiable, only to you. Write it down on a piece of paper, then keep it all day without telling anybody. At the end of the day, before you sleep, check the receipt. Did you keep it? Yes or no? No spin cycle, no story, just information, right? And then there's day number 3, right? The unfilled rep. Pick one form of work that nobody will see. Reading, training, writing, building, studying, practicing. Do something, right? Do at least 60 minutes to do something, right? Do not pass it, right? Do not mention it. Do not film it. The rep is for the wall, not the audience, right? Run it, walk away, because the wall remembers, right? And then day number 4, the boundary. Identify one yes that has been a hole in your wall, one commitment, one calendar slot, one relationship pattern, one habit, one input, right? And cut it, negotiate it, decline it, end it, patch the hole. The wall thickens. Say no, right? Say no. And then there's day number 5. This is your truth session. Sit down, 30 minutes minimum, audit the week. Honest accounting, gap analysis, next move, right? 3 pieces. Write them down. Look at the data. Tell yourself the truth. No comfort, no spin, just the inspection, right? And then day number 6, right? I know you're tired. This is day number 6, though. This is day number 6, the homework, right? This is the recovery, right? Schedule it, defend it, sleep, nutrition, movement plus recovery, quiet time, honor your body, honor the equipment, and you come back stronger for the build, right? And then lastly, day number 7, right? Next Monday on episode 237, you're going to walk into episode 237 with 6 walls under load. Arc 3 Motivation Mondays final lands, right? We would name what the foundation finally holds. You bring the walls, I'm going to bring the architecture. That is the assignment. 7 days, 6 walls, 1 disciplined run, right? That is not a challenge. Challenges are decoration, and the construction is the sequence, right? You are building a structure that will hold the rest of the year, right? The rest of the decade, the rest of your legacy. There is no rebirth without the structure. There is no harvest without the foundation. There's no throne without the walls, right? Family, listen. The assignment is on the table. The crew is in the room. The clock starts when you walk out of this episode. It's time to clock in, right? I'll be running the same 6 walls this week, same build, the same crew, same fight. The foreman does not skip the build. The foreman runs the build, right? Do not break chain. 6 walls, 7 days, 1 run. Then we meet back here next Monday, right? For the finale. The reborn version of you is not a vibe. The reborn version of you is a structure. Tonight, you got the structure. Now you go execute on that structure. Man, it's go time. Last stop, man. Last stop, man. We almost done. Stay with me. Stay with me. No bathroom break. No hallway pass. Principal says stay in your seats, right? Class is not over yet, right? Almost, right? So we're at the next destination, right? This is where we close the night. Under the go time, all aboard the fired up train, right? You hear the train. Episode 232, Motivation Mondays, Arc 3 Foundation 4, week 4 of week 5, right? Live every week at 9 p.m. Eastern time, right? The brass tacks of the night was this: a foundation that is not loaded is decoration. A wall that is not tested is a guess. A man who is not disciplined when nobody is watching is a costume. The sovereign is not what you wear. The sovereign is what holds when nothing else does, right? That, my friends, is the work. That is the architecture. That is the standard, right? 6 walls, and we built them tonight. We loaded it up this week. We're expecting it next Monday, right? During the finale. Right? The network is live. The network is building. The network is connected, right? And to my smarts, build the framework. To my final bosses, run the inspection. To my motivators, transmit the architecture. To my warriors, translate the discipline, right? All 4 of you in the build together this week, right? The walls go up, the foundation holds, the throne stays standing. The harvest comes when the harvest comes. And until then, we build. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the final boss. This is the Final Boss Podcast. We are the sovereign, the voice of the voiceless. This is episode 232, Motivation Mondays, Final Boss Podcast. Season 4, The Rebirth, Arc 3, Foundation, right? The forge is closed. The walls are up. The foundation holds. The crew is dismissed for now, right? The build resumes at 4 a.m. We meet back here Monday, May 11th, episode 237, right? Motivation Mondays finale of the 3rd arc. You bring the 6 walls, I'm going to bring the closure, right? Stay sovereign, stay disciplined, stay loaded, stay building. Family, community, nation, all under the final boss. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if this resonated with you, share it with 3 people, right? And remember this. Don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep, right? There's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but there's an even heavier pain that comes with regret. I am here. We are here. We are the sovereign. And remember, be balanced, be equal, and be smart. That is our show. And if I don't see you again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the show, people. It is time to get on the fired up train. And I will see you again tomorrow for Tech Tuesdays with the Sensei. Thank you and good night. Gotta wait for the train to end. Get off the train. Get off my train.
They thought it was over. They thought the fire burned out. But fire doesn't destroy the chosen. It forges them. Hosted by Turbo, the CEO. New energy. New strategy. Every setback builds strength. Every loss builds strategy. And every leader rises again. The rebirth begins. Season 4. Bigger conversations. Real strategy. Power moves only. Monday motivation. Tech Tuesday. Merger Wednesday. Special guest Thursdays, sit down Sundays. Season 4 starts now. Tap in or get left behind. Because bosses don't wait, they lead.